Hi, this is Kai. I'm an aeromedical examiner and I did some videos on Air India 171. And therefore, as there are some new developments, I want to give you an update also. An update regarding the question if this crash was a suicide by pilot or not. So it's been 12 months now. In June 2025, Flight Air India 171, a Boeing 787, took off from an Indian airport and had a flight time of only about 32 seconds. It crashed shortly after the runway into a university building, killing almost 250 people. And it's been a year by now, and there is no final report yet. But there should be one, but it isn't there. Instead, now there is an interim statement of AAIB, the Air Accident Investigation Board from India. But this leaves open more questions than it answers, at least right now. However, shortly after the crash, many at first blamed the pilots for several reasons, like they switched the wrong switches, they were confused, or one of them wanted to kill all of them and try to crash the plane by putting the fuel cutoff switches in a cutoff position. There was even a transcript from the cockpit audio where one pilot asks the other, "Hey, why did you cut off the fuel?" And he is said to have said, "Well, it wasn't me." At this point, many came to the conclusion, okay, this had to be a suicide, another one by a pilot like Germanwings and other aircraft incidents. Well, but this is an easy explanation, and it's proven until now that this was the case, because there is another footage of the incident, and apparently the ram air turbine is deployed before the cutoff switches were moved. This would mean for some reason there was a huge power outage on the plane, and there's a checklist on board like for double engine failure, and one of the procedures is to cut off the fuel switches and then turn them back on to have power again. So in this case, the pilots wouldn't have done any suicide action, but they just were trying to save the plane from crashing into the ground. And the more time goes by, the more it looks like there was a technical problem on board, and this was the reason for the problems following. And the chance that this was a suicide of one of the pilots is decreasing more and more. This time, at this point, we cannot be sure what really happened, but as more details become known, the direction switches more and more towards technical problems of the plane. This also would be a sad story because it's a Boeing, and Boeing had some major problems in the past, not only with this plane, Boeing 787, but remember the MCAS system, which led to the crash of two planes recently. Well, not recently, but some years ago, not too far away. Anyway, the Boeing 787 had many technical problems also, and there have been several airworthiness directives, which can be found on the net for reviewing. Again, at this time, we cannot be sure what really happened, but a technical problem seems more and more plausible. However, there's also no time frame for the final report. Basically, the AAIB just says, well, we need more time. There's still a lot to do, and they want not to be pushed to release too early. They just want to release when they have found a final conclusion. When sometime the final report is out, I will do an update also. Now, I just say thanks for watching, and if you have any question, just don't hesitate to contact me or leave some messages in the comment section. Thanks for watching, bye, and see you in the next video.